Welcome to a podcast based on a white paper by John Johnson, Vice President, NSF International's Pharma Biotech Services. Why is Annex 1 important to you? Regardless of the dosage form you supply to market, whenever there is a revision to the EudraLex Volume 4 GMP regulations, it is important to take in the wider picture. And with the introduction of a significant revision to Annex 1, Manufacture of Sterile Medicinal Products, license holders and pharma suppliers should ask themselves the following questions. Why is the regulation being changed? How will it affect my operation or the company as a whole? Does the revision give a signal to a change in perspective within EMA? Does the revision give some clues on how the changes will be monitored and enforced? What do I need to do to keep in step with these changes, regardless of the dosage form I work within? Failing to ask these questions, and failing to take the time to find the answers specific to your organisation, is like driving in the dark at breakneck speed without your headlamps on. Whilst Annex 1 is focused on sterile production, the proposed clarifications and the changes to be made will have a definite knock-on impact on how the regulators regulate and how the industry designs, operates and checks the effectiveness of the whole pharmaceutical quality system, the PQS. It is therefore important to examine the reasons for the revision to Annex 1 and ask yourself some key questions. Reason 1. New technologies mean that new regulations are required to clarify the GMPs. This is the first revision since Annex 1's inception in 1996. Ask yourself, does my organisation utilise production, facility or QC technology that is unique or innovative? How would I present the scientific justification for that technology? How does it work? What happens when it doesn't work? How could I check its ability to ensure critical product quality attributes are met now and for the long term? Reason 2. The EU competent authorities are concerned about the pressures within the PQS, especially regarding a perception of higher staff turnover, heightened commercial pressures, and projects that run late or are out of control. This means that the authorities believe clearer regulations will help industry improve GMP compliance. Ask yourself, does my staff turnover within the critical position holder group exceed 15% per year? Am I losing my best people to other employers? How should I retain the high performers? And how well does my organisation introduce new products? Do we only introduce materials and drug products appropriate to the facility and the quality system currently in place? Reason 3. The authorities' unique view of the industry is troubling them. They are seeing recurring GMP deficiencies, basic defaults against the regulations, inadequate root cause analysis, and ineffective CAPA. They are seeing poor deployment of ICH Q9 quality risk management, and issues concerning sterility assurance are not diminishing, causing recalls and product shortages. In short, when trust is eroded, there is a greater need for verification and enforcement. Ask yourself, does my PQS have a clear risk management process that leads to a risk register acted on via quality objectives year after year? And does my product impact assessment process tend to justify unsound, unscientific or bad practice, often just to seek a way of continuing to supply product without addressing the root causes? And also, am I noticing recurring issues? Am I visually active in seeking transformational change in the severity and frequency of recurrence? Reason 4. The authorities have noted a trend in fragmentation of supply chains leading to the diffusion of QA oversight and responsibility. Sterile products are often made in locations and by companies without a long compliance history in this field, with low-level understanding of the technologies and risks. This is evidenced by the prevalence of basic GMP deficiencies noted on site during regulatory inspections. As a consequence, Annex 1 needed to be made less ambiguous with less room for interpretation. Ask yourself, How do my EU qualified persons oversee the supply chain as required by Annex 16? And how is this documented? And how well does my vendor approval system work? And do I have any special cases where a person in plant is needed to guide, mentor, and verify the performance of our contractor? And also, do my manufacturing partners operate a quality system that meets ICH Q10 and is clearly used in day-to-day operations? Reason 5. After the global recession 10 years ago, many firms slashed their training budgets and downsized the way they educate their staff and develop their managers. It is now evident that some critical position holders may have the know-how, but not the know-why. Hence the trend in sterile inspections for poor decision-making, inadequately completed investigation reports, and acceptance of repeat, low-level issues, often first noticed during the regulatory inspection. More detail is needed in Annex 1 to provide clearer guidance and direction. Ask yourself, of course we train our staff, but do we educate them so that they can make the right calls at the right time? Are our training programs developing the subject matter experts of the future? And do we have a successor program? Do we define station manning to allow people to shadow managers' internal audits and key meetings so that they learn the role as part of their daily job? As well as, how do we check that the training has been absorbed and best practice is implemented? Also, how do we deal with those who just don't get it? In the case of any regulatory change, here are some questions to ask yourself to assess the impact on your organisation. Question 1. What investment do I need to ensure long-term, sustainable compliance to this requirement? Question 2. How does the revision affect my current facilities, utilities and equipment? Question 3. Who needs to know about this? Where can I get the details? And how can they be shared with the wider team? Question 4. Does my organisation comply with the new regulations? How should I respond, and what do I need in place to enact a timely GMP remediation plan ahead of a crisis occurring, or ahead of the next regulatory inspection? Question 5. Do I need some support to make this change effective, timely, and to ensure it is sticky for the long term? Question 6. Do we need a change of approach, a behavioural or cultural change, and how can we equip our team to manage this change professionally? Question 7. Why didn't our organisation preempt this change and know about it sooner, so that we had more time to respond in a timely, controlled manner? Question 8. What policies, procedures, logbooks, records, and batch manufacturing documents are affected by this change? For more information, visit our resource library at www.nsf.org/info/pblibrary and watch the webinar EudraLex Volume 4 Annex 1 How Will It Affect You? Whether you are a steriles manufacturer or not, take some time to formulate a plan of action because, subtly but surely, your EU regulator is telling you the following. Better regulation is needed, as many sectors of the industry are clearly struggling to comply with the basic requirements of GMP. Product shortages, recalls, and regulatory censure are very troubling to the authorities and demonstrate that changes across the industry in the last 10 to 15 years are not visibly improving the quality or safety of products manufactured or supplied in and to global markets. Recurring GMP deviations and deficiencies against the GMP regulations demonstrate a lack of effective root cause analysis, a lack of rigour in identifying the right kappa, and an acceptance of variation that can lead to significant impact on product quality. Though a quality system, underpinned by a robust staff education programme, is a mandatory requirement, it will not deliver the required level of quality assurance without the engagement of staff at all levels. This engagement is needed before the right communications, behaviours, culture and mindset can be put in place. The regulators are noting elegant quality systems across our industry, But likewise, they see products of variable quality and often made to inconsistent or inappropriate levels of GMP. We should all be asking ourselves, why is that? For further information on this and other white papers, please visit www.nsfpharmabiotech.org.